My father passed away, my mother left me to my best friend and walked away, and then I was raised by this aunt who was only 8 years older than me until I stepped into society. Auntie saw that I don't have a girlfriend, thought I was abnormal, so she decided to sacrifice herself, also want to break me straight. That night she had to squeeze with me in a bed. When I was 5 years old, my father passed away, and when I was 12 years old, my mother left the country after handing me over to one of her girlfriends. But the good thing is, she has always been good to me over the years. Her name is Jiaoying, 30 years old, body looks that are not to say, like a freshly baked porcelain, was built flawless, convex and curved, but I have never seen her with a boyfriend. From elementary school to high school, we all lied together. Adolescent longing for women also made he became the object of my fantasies, even though I know this is not right, but inside always cannot help. Every time I came home from school and saw her wearing shorts and a t-shirt, revealing her long white legs in front of my eyes, I would always be floating around. Until after college, I left her, and then graduated from the local internship work, the opportunity to meet less, this perverted thoughts in my heart which gradually disappeared. I haven't heard anything from my mother since she left the country, and after 10 years, I've almost forgotten what she looks like. In these 10 years, it is auntie gave me all the love, let me in the case of no parents, live not like an orphan general. The original fantasy of waiting for me to make money, let her live a good life, good filial piety to her. As a result, our relationship in an accident, managed to break through the level of affection. That day, the company party, I would not be very good at drinking, a few cups of beer down, then feel drowsy. How I got to the house has been forgotten. The next day, I woke up, but found that there was someone lying beside me, a man, and after I took a closer look at his face, I almost threw up. Is my colleague and good friend Lu Yuanshu, only to see the two of us all over the body only where inner library, his hand is still on my body, I trample. Estimated last night as he sent me back. Just at this time, I outside the room door actually came to open the door sound, I'm a little frozen, who would have the key to my house? Before I could react from the shock, the bedroom door was opened. Into my eyes is the aunt's pretty face of panic. When I first rented a room outside, she was the one who brought me over to pay the first rent and deposit. She left a key and said she would often come over to see me. I thought it was a thief, or someone had taken my key. I didn't think at all that it would be her who would come. She just stared blankly at us entwined on the bed, her eyes full of panic and disbelief. I managed to come back to my senses and hurriedly shook off Lu Yuanshu's arm and greeted her. Hey, auntie, why are you here? She turned around and spoke faintly. Hurry up and get up, I have something to ask you. How dare I say, hurriedly get up and put on my clothes, quickly came to the living room. She was sitting on the sofa, crossing those long white legs, first looked at me after a glance, then stared at the TV, did not say a word. I was like a child who had done something wrong, silently walked to her side and sat down, even though I did not know what I had done wrong. After a long time, she then spoke slowly. Who is that man? After I glanced at her, I said, oh, that's my colleague, called Lu Yuanshu. You talked to him. Before she finished her words, at this time, Lu Yuanshu also got up and walked out naked. Xiao Tiang, you. I silently turned my head to look at my aunt, only to see her staring at the TV with a cold face. I somewhat uncomfortably shook off Lu Yuanshu's arm and awkwardly introduced each other to them. Lu Yuanshu's face became even more shocked when he heard that the beautiful woman in front of him was my aunt. He also wanted to reach out and shake her hand, but I stopped him. I hurriedly pulled him up and said to my aunt, Auntie, you sit down first, Yuanshu he still has things to do, I'll send him downstairs. When Lu Yuanshu was sent downstairs and re-entered the house, she still maintained the position she had just held watching the TV. I once again returned to her side and said to her, Auntie, you've come all the way over here. You shouldn't have eaten yet, right? Come on, let's go downstairs and eat some. She didn't say much, got up and followed me downstairs. But I always feel that she is still angry. I thought that she is because she saw me and Lu Yuanshu in the house, and I had the smell of alcohol, presumably because I didn't work properly, so I said to her, Auntie, don't be angry, last night we had a company party, I got drunk, it was him who sent me back, I didn't play blindly, my mind can be all about work. Finally, She glanced at me and a smile appeared on her face, which made my mood become less tense. In the restaurant, after ordering some meals, I couldn't help but ask her. "Auntie, are you here for something this time?" She laughed. "Originally, I was just passing by and was planning to come over to see you, but now that I've decided, I'm going to stay here with you for a while before I leave." Huh. My mouth dropped open. With some slight anger on her face, she said, "What's wrong? Are you not welcoming me?" I shook my head hastily. No, 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 how could I not welcome you? It's just that there's only one bed in my room. Well. Afraid of what? It's not like you haven't slept in the same bed with me before. I don't even mind. What do you mind? I was choked by her words and hurriedly turned my head to see if there was anyone around to hear. After the meal, we returned home. She began to help me clean up the room, from the living room to the bedroom. I want to go up to help, were stopped by her, only the process of cleaning up inevitably on me accounting. I can only silently accept. But then again, more than half a year has not seen. Auntie's body is still so good, the face does not have the slightest rouge powder, but looks watery, which if anyone married her, that would earn a lot of money. Especially when she bent her back to me to pack up things, that perfect to the extreme peach buttocks simply let a person floating even. She became the standard for me to find a girlfriend, but how many people are like her? Even if there are, people are not likely to look at me, which is also the reason why I have been single all these years. Now is not the time to think about this. What to do at night? The house I rented is just one room, there is no extra bed. Either I sleep on the sofa, or really like she said, sleep in the same bed. What's done is done. After dinner, we sat on the couch and watched TV for a while, then she got up and went to the restroom to wash up. I sat on the couch, a bit at a loss for words, and kept ruminating. Listening to the bathroom out of the clattering sound of running water, she was in the shower. My thoughts are also confused. In the beginning did sleep with her in the same bed, but that was also in elementary school. After junior high school, I will be alone to sleep alone in a room. Now that I'm an adult and working, plus she's always been the object of my longing, I'm also a man of blood, how can I still sleep in the same bed? Isn't this playing with fire? Just then, the sound of her water stopped, and I hastily withdrew my gaze that was stuck in the doorway of the restroom and pretended to watch TV. But when she walked out of the restroom, I couldn't help but look over again. My whole person looked dumbfounded. Person would feel that my eyes were not right, but she didn't care about the appearance, while fixing her hair, while saying to me, "Hurry up and go wash up, I'm going to sleep first." Oh. After saying that, she turned around and went to my bedroom. I froze in place for a long time before I got up and went to the restroom to wash up. As a result, I stayed in the restroom for half an hour without coming out. It was not easy to gather enough courage to walk out of the restroom. Between choosing to go to the bedroom and going to the living room, I still chose to go to the living room. Even if I have inexplicable fondness for her, she is always the one who raised me, longing for it in my heart, but do not dare to overstep the boundaries. I lay down on the couch in silence. It was a good thing it was the middle of summer and it was sweltering. On the contrary, it was a bit cooler in the living room. Just when I thought the night was over, the bedroom door slammed, and with a start I rolled over and sat up in a hurry. She was standing by the door, wearing one of my white t-shirts, short to the base of her legs, and staring at me fixedly. "Why are you sitting? Aren't you going to sleep?" I hurriedly smiled. "Auntie, you go to sleep first, I'll sit for a while and sleep on the sofa." Who knew that she slowly walked towards me and took my arm. Yo, when did our Xiaotian become so shy? It's really grown up. But no, I'm here to see you, letting you sleep in the living room, that's too much. If you're like this, then I'll leave tomorrow. I hurriedly waved my hand. No, Auntie, I just feel that it's cooler in the living room, nothing else. With an unforgiving look, she continued, "All right, hurry up and go inside to sleep. I still have something to say to you, so don't be shy. Have you forgotten? I even gave you a bath when you were little." At those words, I immediately blushed to the root of my neck, but I could only allow her to drag me towards the bedroom. After lying down, I immediately felt that this bedroom was so strange, not like my bedroom. She sat on the other side, briefly arranged her hair and also lay down. I only felt my heart thumping. I even already felt the body heat emanating from her body. She turned on her side and propped her head up to look at me. I was a little overwhelmed. trying to find something to break the awkwardness of the situation, so I reached out, trying to turn off the bedside lamp. Just then, she interrupted me. "Don't turn off the light yet, Xiaotian, I have something to ask you." I turned my head and looked at her with a red face. "Auntie, you ask? Do you have a favorite person?" I didn't even think that she would ask me this question. All of her instantly popped up in my mind, and I actually subconsciously nodded my head towards her, then reacted and hurriedly shook my head again. "What's with this nodding and shaking your head? You tell me, you don't like men, right? The one that was just Lu Yuanshu today." I was almost so shocked by her words that I fell off the bed at once. Lu Yuanshu? How could that be? How could I possibly like a guy? Could it be that Auntie saw us sleeping together one day and misunderstood? I hurriedly waved my hand. "Auntie, what are you talking about? How could I possibly like him? He's a guy." "Is it that one day you saw us sleeping together and misunderstood? Actually I was explaining with my mouth, but while she still had a look of disbelief on her face, I was nervous to the extreme, and in the end, my voice became smaller and smaller. Just when I didn't know what to say to prove myself, she said once again, "Since you said you don't like men, prove it to me." I froze. "How? Prove it how?" She looked at me, her bright eyes were like a pool of clear water, clean and translucent, the corner of her mouth hung up a smile, but did not speak. After a long time, I really can't stand this feeling of panic, can only continue to say to her, "Auntie, what's wrong?" "Who knows?" She directly turned around, turned her back to me, and said, Okay, Auntie is teasing you, go to sleep." This sudden end again caught me a little off guard, and I had no choice but to turn off the light and go to sleep. This quilt, filled with the fragrance of her body, has been percolating into my mouth and nose. My mind has long begun to ramble. If from childhood I did not call her aunt, that would be so good. Listening to the sound of her breathing seems to have been asleep, but I cannot sleep. Until the latter half of the night, I gradually have some sleep, but, just at this time, she actually turned to lean on my body. My body is like an electric shock, straight, do not dare to move. What should I do? It was hard to come up. A trace of drowsiness suddenly dissipated, awake and incomparable. I slowly turned my head. In the dark night, through the weak light shining in from outside, I saw her absolutely beautiful face. Her breath hit my face. It is the same kind of fragrance in the quilt. Her lips are close to me. Instantly, my head went blank as my lips slowly moved closer towards hers. Auntie was asleep anyway, so it shouldn't be a problem for me to sneak a kiss, right? I only had this thought, but when our lips were about to stick together, I suddenly came to my senses again. No, she is the aunt who raised me. How can I do this to her? If we had that kind of relationship, that would be too wrong. I didn't dare to think further. I could only glance my head to the side and force myself to fall asleep in a hurry. With half of her body right next to me like this, I was really worried that after I fell asleep, I would do something bad to her in my dreams. That's not even scary. What's more scary is what if I take something in reality as well. But fortunately, after I fell asleep, I didn't have any strange dreams, and I shouldn't have done anything either. The next morning, a ray of sunlight sprinkled on my face, shaking me awake. I opened my eyes, suddenly remembered my aunt beside me, and hurriedly turned my head to look, but there was no sign of her. She should have already gotten up. I came to the living room. Her figure in the kitchen was busy, just the back. Again, I could not help but burst inside. She was still wearing the same white t-shirt that I had yesterday, and I even suspected for a moment that she was only wearing the same t-shirt that I had, and underneath it, she was probably only wearing close-fitting clothes. At the thought of this, I felt my blood turn inside out. Just when I was beyond expectation, she should have sensed that I was behind her, turned her head and looked at me. I blushed my old face and hurriedly averted my eyes, deliberately walking towards the living room. "Why are you all up? I haven't even made breakfast yet." I laughed awkwardly, woke up from my nap. I'm an early riser on weekends too. She smiled slightly and said, "Then go wash up, breakfast will be ready soon." After saying that, she turned around and continued to go about her business. I got up and once again admired that stunning backside for 2 eyes before walking into the restroom. As a result, the moment I opened the door, on the wall of the restroom, a piece of black fabric attracted my eyeballs. It was her underwear, black, still dripping with water. I once again apoplectic up. Did she not wear anything inside? Yesterday she came, just to see me, pressed no thought to stay a while more, the result suddenly decided to stay, must not have any change of clothes, this. It's hard to wash up and come to the living room, she's already sitting on the dining table and is eating breakfast. Come over and eat. I nodded and walked towards the dining table, but my eyes unconsciously looked down towards the table, but her legs were tightly together, and she didn't give me the chance to see anything. After sitting down, she handed me a bowl of porridge. Ugh, Xiaotian, why is your face red? Is it because Auntie grabbed the quilt from you last night and you got sick? I hastily shook my head. No, I guess it's because I just washed my face, it's fine. After saying that, I hurriedly lowered my head to drink congee, not daring to look at her again. Where would I dare to tell her that it was because I suspected that she was in a full vacuum that she was blushing? After the meal, I was going to go back to the house, although I really can't help but want to see the beautiful scenery underneath the t-shirt, but if I really saw it, so wouldn't I be blaspheming my favorite her? Instead, she said to me, where are you going? Quickly clean up the house with me, let's go out and buy something. I had no choice but to nod my head in agreement. However, during this process, I still couldn't help but sneak a look towards her, just as she turned her back to me and bent down to wipe the dining table. I suddenly froze in place, and as expected, just as I thought, she was really wearing only my white t-shirt all over her body. I wanted to avert my eyes, but I couldn't. Just stayed and admired. But luckily wiping down this dining room table was only a moment's notice, and until she got up and went to the kitchen, I still hadn't gotten over the shock of what I'd just seen. That is, until she turned to me and said, well, I'm going to go change while you clean up. When she came out of the bedroom again and changed into the same set of clothes she had worn yesterday, she said to me, go change. I was a little helpless. Auntie, are we just going out? She looked at me with an unknowing expression on her face. What about otherwise? What's wrong? Is it that my clothes are dirty somewhere? She said, and looked twice towards her body, but I didn't know what to say, not because her clothes were dirty, but she was wearing a short skirt, but nothing underneath, so going out like this, isn't it a little bit not so good, but I can't just remind her of that. In the end, I can only choose to obey, and after changing my clothes, I followed her out the door. Take the car to the mall. In the car, her legs have been together, do not dare to have the slightest skill, probably also worried about their own leakage. After getting out of the car, she held my arm, walking towards the mall. To be honest, we walked together. No one will think she is my elder, all the eyes can clearly see, that is called an envy and jealousy awe. As I was watching the eyes of the people around me, I also felt a hint of something wrong. From the moment we walked into the mall, a lewd-looking man had been following us around, and no matter where we went, he had never left the range of 5 meters away from us. At first, I didn't perceive anything and felt that it was just a coincidence, but just as I came out of the restroom, the scene in front of me immediately stunned me. Only to see Auntie standing in front of a milk tea stall, is talking with the clerk what, and that lewd man slowly walked towards her, holding his cell phone in his hand, just when close to the auntie, his hand holding the phone slowly towards the bottom of the auntie's skirt to lean over. I instantly understood, this was a peeping Tom, a pervert, and he was onto us from the moment we entered the mall. I instantly rushed forward and yanked his hand before he could react. Damn, dead pervert, how dare you sneak a picture? When the lewd man saw that he had been dismantled, a trace of panic appeared on his face. You. What did you say? Less fucking wrongly accuse people, where did I secretly film? Auntie also reacted and looked at me, her face filled with panic. Xiaotian, what's wrong? I didn't answer her, but directly grabbed the phone in the lewd man's hand. He still wanted to come forward to grab it. I directly raised my foot and kicked him in the abdomen. He was immediately kicked out by me, kneeling on the ground, unable to get up. His cell phone hadn't had time to lock the screen. I directly clicked on the photo album. At this time, Auntie also gave her head over, when I clicked on the first photo. She directly couldn't help but scream out in shock. It was that man who secretly photographed the bottom of her skirt. I glanced at her, and she froze and looked at me, her pretty face reddening as if it was about to drip blood. At this time, due to the change of events just now, the surrounding area was also filled with people watching the scene, and the security guards also came over. What's going on? After I completely deleted that photo, took a look at the album, good guy, here on the face of hundreds of photos, all are women's underskirt scenery, I simply explained the situation to the security guards, handing over the cell phone to them. The police naturally do not need me to report the matter. When I left, she walked silently next to me, did not say a word. It should be because I saw the reason for that one photo. I naturally did not open my mouth. Who opened his mouth at this time? Who was embarrassed? As expected, she estimated that she couldn't help it, and said to me, Xiaotian, Auntie Ben just temporarily decided to live with you for a while. Early this morning I washed all my clothes, didn't have a change of clothes, and I was thinking of coming to the mall to buy 1 or 2 sets, and I didn't think that. I looked at her with a face full of embarrassment, she also looked at me with a face of embarrassment. In the end, I can only silently nodded to indicate the answer. It was hard to come to a lingerie store. She walked in, but I was like getting a release, a long breath of relief. Not long after, she came out with a bag of freshly purchased clothes, and then handed part of it to me, saying, wait for me. Then she turned around and went to the restroom, presumably to go and change straight away. After coming out, the good thing is that the just awkward atmosphere is eased. She continued to hold my arm to stroll through the mall. She bought 2 more sets of change of clothes, by the way, also bought me 2 sets. I wanted to refuse, but the result is that she insisted on giving me to buy. I also can only agree. When I returned home, it was already 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Many people around me say that accompanying a woman shopping is the most exhausting. Today it seems that I have to redefine this sentence. Although my legs emit a burst of soreness, but I do not feel tired. Accompany her shopping, I am still very happy. But she was different, directly exhausted and paralyzed on the sofa. Ouch, it's been a long time since I went shopping, I'm so tired. Saying that, she turned her head and looked at me. Xiaotian, come, press my legs hurt. Before I could agree, she was already lying on the sofa, her arms resting on her head, her eyes closed, and she already had a look of enjoyment on her face. By the way, she also sent those long legs into my arms, but I was a bit at a loss, for a while I didn't know how to do it. She was a bit unable to wait, turned her head to look at me and said to me again, press off, what are you waiting for? Oh. Having no choice, I could only tremble my hands, gently attach her calf stomach, and gently press it. I could feel that when my hands touched her skin for a moment, her body also stiffened for a moment, but with the movement of my hands, she also began to soothe over. After a while, seeing that my hands were only pressing on the belly of her calves, she began to direct me. Move up a bit, don't just press on your calves. So then, I could only follow her request and moved up a bit, but only slightly, still struggling in the bend of her foot. I didn't realize she wasn't going to let me go at all. Move up again. I was a little helpless, any further and I would have reached my thighs, but I could only continue to move up, and so, at her request, eventually, my hands pressed up against her thighs. As expected, just as it looked, the feel was excellent, and I blushed, careful with every movement, worried that if I wasn't paying attention a little, I might mean to offend her. 10 or so minutes passed, and my body felt like it was about to explode, and I kept trying to adjust my position, worried that my ugliness would be noticed by her. Auntie, is that okay? With a face of beautiful enjoyment, she said, press again. I didn't realize that Xiaotian's technique is so good, I have to enjoy it today, a little bit more up. I froze, this is going to be a problem if I go further up. Oh what? If I tell you to go up, just go up, don't be so slow. I froze for a long time, but in the end I could only follow his request and continue to go up, only this time I was trying to restrain myself from looking at places I shouldn't, but the effect didn't seem to be very great. My hand was already teetering on the edge of the limit of what her short skirt could cover. Just then she popped in again. A little further up. The movement of my hand immediately froze, this if it goes up further, it will directly climb up her, although I moved up a little bit according to her request, but in fact it's not much different from not moving at all. Just like this and her limit pulling, just when she again asked me to move up, the cell phone ringing. I was as if I had been pardoned, and hurriedly said to her, Auntie, I'll answer the phone first. Before she could give her consent, I picked up the phone and rushed into the bedroom with a rush. The moment I entered the bedroom, I always had the feeling of escaping from a tiger. She is playing a dangerous game with me, ah. In case I can't hold it, then the consequences are somewhat unimaginable, ah. Pick up the phone to see, is Lu Yuanshu. This is the first time I feel this guy's phone is so timely, so appropriate. After connecting, this kid opened and closed his mouth with questions about her. I'm a little speechless. This kid won't be looking at my aunt, right? I directly hung up her phone, said nothing, dared to go out again. If she continued to let me press her leg, then the next really do not know what kind of things will happen. But things are far from being solved. After that day, I always feel that between me and my aunt, produced some extremely subtle changes. We share the same bed, although nothing happened, at most is also wake up in the morning, found her wrapped in my body. This may just be a habit of her sleep. But at first, she would wear my t-shirt as pajamas, to later, directly let fly, only wearing intimate apparel to sleep, to me also not the slightest avoidance, after the shower, so wrapped in a towel straight into the bedroom to lie down. Usually at home, wearing very little. Every day looking at such a provocative him, I was aroused and almost burned, can only have been in the heart to admonish themselves, she is the elders, cannot overstep the boundaries. Until one day after January, our relationship was completely shattered. After a few of her close friends found out she was in the city, they asked to get together any way they could. Since I was unfamiliar with them, I refused even though she repeatedly invited me. Time came to 12 o'clock at night, although this point of the nightlife just started, but I still cannot help but worry about her. Just ready to call her, the cell phone rang inside. It was her. I hurriedly connected it, but it wasn't her voice. Is it Xiaotian? It was a woman's voice. I hurriedly said, yes, are you? Oh, I'm Xia Ying's friend, she's drunk, can you come over and pick her up? I hurriedly inquired about the address and hoofed it over. KTV's private room. I walked in, printed into the extension of the year, but all are some of the top of the big beautiful women, about the same age as her, but everyone has a few points of drunkenness. A few of them are lying on the sofa asleep, she is one of them. One of them looked at me with a puzzled face and turned off the music. I hurriedly told the purpose of my visit, and as a result, a hint of a smile appeared on the faces of all the women who were still fresh. So you are a family, Qiao Ying's nephew, all grown up so big. I still remember that time to go to their house. You are not much yet. Yes, this Jiaoying has such a good-looking nephew, also does not bring out to get together with us, worried that we with her to steal as if. These women still have a few look familiar, should have seen, but look at the age of them with aunt about the same, counting, and is only 7 or 8 years older than me. Called her and I can call out, called these women aunt, I really cannot call out, can only accompany the smiling face, will have been drunk unconscious. She helped up, out of the KTV. It was hard to return home. I gently took off her high heels, my eyes lingered on her pretty little feet for 2 seconds, my eyes involuntarily moved upward. What should I do next? What should I do next? Should I help her take off her clothes? Just when I was hesitating, she muttered in a lump. Tian, are we home yet? I replied back, we're here, auntie, please rest. Who knows? She opened her disoriented eyes and seemed to be trying to see clearly if the person in front of her was me. I could only smile and say to her, auntie, it's me, we're already home, don't be afraid. However, right at this moment, she wrapped her arms around my neck in a flash, her face instantly came up and froze, those long eyelashes were close at hand, and the scent of her body and the smell of wine drilled straight into my mouth and nose. Xiao Tian, is it really you? It's me, auntie. Before I finished my words, all of a sudden, I only felt a cold and wet sensation on my lips. I became overwhelmed, but clenched my teeth as if I was making a final defense. Only, this defense is not very solid. Under her gentle attack, I immediately surrendered, began to respond to his kiss. However, she actually. Li Xiaotian, what are you doing? She is the aunt who raised you up, how can you be like this? Hurry to wake up. In my head, this voice has been filled with this voice. In the end, at the last minute, I still came to my senses and stopped her movements, not caring whether she could hear it or not, and said, auntie, no, we can't be like this, you're my elder. Originally I thought that this was a momentary act of her drunken unconsciousness, as a result, what I didn't expect was that just when I was ready to get up and leave, she was looking at me with her big eyes open, and there was not a trace of unconsciousness in the pressure. On the contrary, I felt that she was very sober, and I couldn't help but ask a question. "Auntie, you're awake?" The corner of her mouth emerged a smile. "Awake?" My head buzzed for a moment. She was awake, then the action just now was pressed, not what drunkenness. To be honest, my heart at that moment is still more or less a little angry. "Then why did you do it?" Hearing that I sounded off, she slowly sat up and said to me, "If I didn't do it, how could I make your sexual orientation shift?" I was shocked. My sexual orientation? She suspected that I had a problem with my sexual orientation. How could that be? But on second thought, I instantly understood again. When she suddenly arrived and saw me in bed with Lu Yuanshu, she thought that we were gay men. When she questioned me, because the person I liked inside was her, causing me to stammer in my answer, which caused her to misunderstand, that is to say, she decided to stay on a temporary basis for no other reason than to straighten me out. I burst into tears and laughed. "Auntie, don't worry, there is absolutely no problem with my sexual orientation. The day Lu Yuanshu and I were together, we really just got drunk and slept together." Instead, she said, "That I know, let's talk about us next. Xiao Tian, do you like me?" Once again I froze and looked at her, my mouth moving but not uttering a word. She continued, "Think before you answer. Perhaps, you really have been treating me as an elder, but we are not related by blood at all. Originally I wanted to wait for you to grow up and then start a family, but when you grew up, I gradually realized that I liked you, and I wanted to be with you. How could I not? But as long as I thought of her as the elder who raised me, I couldn't get past this hurdle in my heart." See, I did not answer. She saw through my mind, continued to say, "All this era, you will not be so old-fashioned thinking. I know you also like me, we also have no blood relationship, why can not be together? Yes, I like her, she also likes me, and we have no blood relationship, why can't we take our relationship further? What's more, I've asked myself, if one day she has a boyfriend and I have a girlfriend, that feeling, it's worse than death." Thinking of this, I could no longer bear it, completely let go of that hurdle in my heart, the grace of her upbringing. Perhaps, I can use my whole life to love her as a repayment. I violently surged her into my arms. "Xiaoying, I love you, I want to guard you and love you for a lifetime." She froze for a long time and hugged my arms a little tighter. "I've been waiting for you to say this for years. I'm sorry for keeping you waiting."